What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Landry Hat podcast powered by FanSided. I am your host, Zach. You can listen to the Landry Hat wherever you get your podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you like this video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single episode this Cowboys draft season. Foots, we are still in draft season. We've been talking draft since mid-December, early December. We were just talking pre-show. It doesn't ever really get old, but at some point, like, people are ready for the draft to want to see what happens. They want answers to all of the questions that we've been asking throughout this entire process. And we have a really fun show set up for all of you today. But before we get into that, Foots, I got to ask you, how are you doing?
I was just telling you, bro, I'm not tired. I'm actually like on the up, like getting all the reports, hearing people talk about what may happen, what may not happen. You know, today we got more information that CJ Allen ran a great 40. Is he back in play at 20? Is he back in play in a trade down scenario? All of these things, Zach, to me, this is the excitement of the draft. Everybody right now, well, I don't want to spoil it, but I will say this. I'm excited. It's still draft season. I can't get enough of it. If we were loading up going back to the Senior Bowl, I'd be like, Zach, let's get ready. Let's go. They could do 2 Senior Bowls. It doesn't matter to me. We'll be there talking ball.
Yeah, draft season never gets old because there are so many players in every draft that you could study all year long, all draft season long. You would never get to every single player. So it's a ton of fun, a ton of different guys to talk about. And it feels like this year, this draft has been all over the place anyway. Like prospects, it's once you get outside of that top 3, it becomes any kind of ball game. We don't know if if there's offensive tackles that are going to sneak up inside of the top 10. The wide receivers are all over the place. I don't think there's any consensus on the first 3 or 4 wide receivers in this draft. So we really don't know how it's going to play up to the Cowboys pick at 12. And that's what we're going to discuss in today's video. The Cowboys maybe not waiting around to 12 to figure out what's going to happen. Maybe trading up, because it's become a big discussion really in the past couple of days. A lot of top mock drafters like Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Dane Brugler have the Cowboys moving up in particular for Sonny Styles. And I want to give you just, if for anybody that hasn't seen it, a brief overview. Mel Kiper had the Cowboys giving up 12 and 20. They received the 39th overall pick to go up and get Sonny Styles. Todd McShay, the Cowboys give up 12, 92, and a 2027 second round pick. They get nothing in return. And then Dane Brugler at 12, 20, and a 2027 fourth round pick, but they get 39 in return. Before we get to talking about values and all of that, what you would be willing to give up, does it seem more likely at this point than not that Dallas is going to trade up? Because that's something we've talked about a whole lot, but now to see all of these guys starting to talk about it, does it feel like something's in the water?
Zach, it does. It feels like where there's smoke, there's fire. Now, you need a trade partner, and you need somebody like, is Cleveland willing to bail out of there? I think so, especially when you look at their needs, right? Cleveland, the best thing of all of this, Zach, is Cleveland has a good defense. If they didn't, why would they move off of a great defensive player who everybody? I want to make sure I get this on wax. I love this class. I live in the moment, so I'm not one of these people that's like, well, you know what? Next year's class is going to be better and there's more premium picks, because every year is next year's class. I think that if you've been with us as long as you have, and we went through the process, and NFL teams are probably smarter than me, but I look at a guy like Keldrick Falk, and I'm going on a tangent and rant here, but I look at a guy like Keldrick Falk and say, and I've said this from the beginning, in the right system with real growth, it could happen faster than people think. He could be a guy. But going back to the Sonny Styles thing and Dallas possibly trading up, I feel like it's real. I feel like a lot of people have pegged this draft as one where you're not getting the quality that you think you may get at pick 12, even though Dallas stayed put and got Micah Parsons years ago. They look at it like, hey, we want instant impact with upside right now. So who are those players? David Bailey, Arvell Reese, Sonny Styles, Caleb Downs. You could possibly put Monsoor Lane in there. I would. I like Monsoor Lane, but it sounds like their targets are two players that I'm sure we'll talk about in this episode.
Yeah, we always have this little bit of a run leading up to the draft where you start hearing something, whether it was them taking Tyler Booker, it happened with Tyler Smith. Like, what are the Cowboys' plans in this draft? And I just find it really interesting that all of the top analysts are starting to kind of get on board with the Cowboys are going to have to move up because, like you said, with the value, the top six defenders, we don't know what's going to happen with the offensive tackles, with the wide receivers. There could be a run on tackles, and there be three guys taken inside the top 10, and Freeling and Mawanoa. And just because of the position, because of the premium position, off ball linebacker is not one of those. Safety with Caleb Downs is not one of those. So there's always a chance that a guy falls to you at 12. But is it are you worth is it worth taking the risk of not getting your guy? Because we know how bad Dallas was on defense last year. That's why we've been talking this entire time that they have to get one of those premium guys. And linebacker, like, do you see the value in moving up maybe to, let's say, that sixth pick where the Browns are? Because if you look at the trade value chart, the value lines up literally perfectly with Cleveland. You might have to throw in a fifth round pick to kind of sweeten the pot a little bit. But as far as like the value of 12 and 20 is almost identical to the value of 6 and 39 in like total points. Would it bother you at all going up for an off ball linebacker, given what we know about this defense and where they really struggled last year?
You have the 3/5. You would have to show me who they drafted 39. Because get ready, ladies and gentlemen. You go up and get Sonny Styles. The pressure for this guy will be through the roof. This fan base doesn't understand patience. They don't. And listen, I like Sonny Styles. I also think that, he's only been playing linebacker for 2 years now. He called the defense last year. I have some reserves in the fact or in the thought that he comes in immediately and just hits the ground running in the NFL. As far as, like, I think there are other linebackers, like a CJ Allen, for example. I don't think he has the ceiling, but I think that CJ Allen will be probably better fit to call this defense and what this defense will be right now. Now, that being said, Sonny Styles has done so much on that Ohio State defense, coming from Matt Patricia's scheme, who we know was under the Belichick tree. There's a lot of parallels from the Saban tree, and then you start talking about Kirby Smart. So there's all these parallels. You have to be a smart player to play in this defense, right, Zach?
Yeah.
The thing that would scare me is you give up these assets and you expect Sonny Styles to come in and be instant impact, and he's not. Or the game looks a lot like what happened in the Miami game, where it was like, ooh, you know, guards and tackles got on him, and it was a bit rough. Those moments are going to happen, and it would just be a lot of pressure. Now, I said in saying, what if they pair that or they parlay that with Keontae Scott? What if they parlay that with Malachi Lawrence? What if they parlay that with, another outside corner that we didn't quite have in the first round? Maybe a Colton Hood, maybe a Chris Johnson. Then you look and you say, okay, the Hall's still there. You still feel like you got two, because Sonny Styles is starting day one. There is no, you're not gonna fart around with this thing, Zach. He's your guy. But if you are able to parlay that with your next defender, and he's the guy, because I've said it and I'm gonna continue to say it. You started this draft with picks 12 and 20. You need to get, I'm not clowning around with this, Zach. You need to get two starters and a contributor. So how they go about that, Zach, I think that's how I would feel.
Yeah, and Jerry said it too. They need two starters. They need two guys that can get out there on the field. And when looking at them trading up and just what Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Dane Brugler said that Dallas has to give up to get to that sixth pick. Dallas in one was giving up 12 and 20, and then they were getting 39 in return. I think that's kind of the sweet spot. Not sure I'd be all that interested if the Cowboys have to give up 12 and 20 and not get anything from then on, because that means you would be picking at sixth overall and then not again until 92 overall. That you're looking at, if my math is correct, what is that, 86 spots that you wouldn't be picking at least 39 gets you into that. There's a lot of second rounders in this draft.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that I look at and say, oh, he's a solid second round pick. If you can get him at 39, I feel better than if you have to take him at 25 if Dallas were to move back there, or take him at 20. Because it's just this draft again, it's all over the place. So I wanted to ask you what you thought about, like, what would be the most you'd be willing to give up in a situation like that? Or a better question, we're talking about the Browns because that one kind of fits, but would you be willing to move up any higher than that? Like, where's the cutoff for you moving up into the first round? Because I mean, I've seen all the way up to 3 where the Arizona Cardinals are, but then I think you're starting to talk about a lot more assets, obviously, to get up into the top 3.
So everything that I've heard and people I've talked to, um, if Dallas, let's say for example, Dallas is having sent on, we got to have Sonny Styles, and let's follow the picks and let's follow the roster. The roster will take us to where they may target Zach at end. You feel okay about it. You don't feel great, but you feel like you could play a game tomorrow with these defensive ends, barring Donovan as a rock who's healthy. Like if Easy's healthy, Zach, you're like, all right, you know what? We can get through a game. Rashawn Gary's not going to get us killed, and our D line is cool. Who are your linebackers? Who are your linebackers? So if that, and I'm saying this to set up a point that, like, outside the Marvin Overshown, who's also a hurt guy, if you say, you know what, the Giants are hot for Sonny Styles, which I'm hearing that he's not going to make it past the Giants at 5. So now comes the conundrum and the issue of, do we got to go up and jump the Giants? Now, are the Cowboys taking an approach like, you know what, we'll wait and see? Because these guys are all these teams are running mock drafts all the way up until. And I say that to say, what will it look like to get to Tennessee? Well, Tennessee has pick 35, they have pick 4, and they have 66. They have pick 101 in the 4th. 66 is high in the 3rd. Here's where I'm at, Zach. If you are giving up 12 and 20, you better promise me, because you could possibly get back 65, but you're sitting out the whole second round. And then you would have 92. That's what I think the trade chart. What do you think that value would be on a trade chart? Let's say we give Tennessee 12 and 20. Okay, we get up to 4. Now we're not picking again till pick 66. Excuse me, I said 65, 66. And then you would pick, so you would have 2 picks on day 2 in the 3rd round with pick 92. So you're basically getting 2 third rounders in your first round pick. Is this guy worth that? And are you like, that's the scary part.
Yeah.
Because now you're trading away for some guys now. Now the questions of, can pick 66, which is the first and the 3rd round, can that guy come in and start? I don't know. Maris Leofau was a 3rd round pick. We're still waiting. You know what I mean? DeMarvin Overshown, 3rd round pick. He's been good when he's been out there. How long has he been out there? You get what I'm saying? So that's where it gets unchy, and where the Cowboys have to weigh this, because, again, the pressure will be through the roof on whoever it is. And if it's Sonny Styles at 4, you tell me, Zach. I want to keep.
Yeah, I think we're
20.
having a different conversation too if it wasn't an off-ball linebacker. We talked about value. We've always talked about value when it comes to the draft, and positional value just means a lot. Edge rushers, corners, quarterbacks, wide receivers, those guys get paid the most money in the league because they are premium positions. You look at off-ball linebacker, a good off-ball linebacker. What did Devin Lloyd get? 15 million a year. I think Roquan Smith a couple of years ago got 20 million per year. Well, your top quarterbacks, your top wide receivers, corners, those guys are making tens of millions of dollars more per year than that position. So then you kind of got to weigh, like, moving up to 3 for an off-ball linebacker. I'm kind of with you. Like, I almost would want them to just sit and wait and see what New York does. If New York takes your guy, if they really want Styles that bad, and New York takes him at 5, then the plan is off. Unless someone else has fallen, Reese, Bailey, somebody like that has gotten past them at 5. I think you go from there. Trading up to 3 for a guy that doesn't play on the ball, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense, especially if the fallback plan is, let's go get Jordan Brooks from Miami. Guy just had an all-pro season. You might have to give up next year's third-round pick. I just don't,
That's a
the
good
value
point,
with
man.
that, it
Yeah.
it it doesn't make sense to me. So, like, would
I
you
wanna
feel
ask you
different about
something.
this if it was a defensive end
I
or
would
a
Yep.
corner or something like that? If you're looking to get in on the action, Underdog is one of the most fun ways to do it. With so many sports going on, playing on Underdog is really straightforward and a ton of fun. All you have to do is choose whether a player will go for higher or lower on their stats, like points, rebounds, assists, steals, all of it. Let's say you're making picks for this upcoming NFL season. I know we're not there just yet, but I love getting in on the NFL action early. In my picks, I'm going with this offseason are Derrick Henry lower than 1,224 and a half rushing yards. I mean, it's inevitable that he eventually has a down season. It's got to happen sooner rather than later. That's why I'm taking lower on his season rush yards. And we're going to stick with the running backs for my next one. Ashton Jeanty higher than 1,024 and a half season rushing yards. The Raiders weren't good last year. Their offensive line wasn't good, but they've put a ton of money into that team this offseason, and I think Jeanty is going to have a much, much better year than he did his rookie season. I'm going to play $10 on that, and I could win up to $35. So that's my picks for this upcoming NFL season. But don't forget, guys, you can play NHL, tennis, soccer, MLB, and the PGA. I also really like the UFC. So if you want to get in on the action, download the Underdog app today and use promo code Landry to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code Landry. Underdog, make picks, win money.
Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
I love this conversation right here, Zach. It's awesome, man. This is why, if you guys aren't tapped in with us and with the Landry Hat, I don't know what you're doing. Zach, to be honest with you, I feel much better about going up to get Bailey than I would Sonny Styles, and here's why. I think, and I'm gonna put my name on the line with this. With the tape I've watched, I just see much more of an impact. That if for some reason the Jets go Arvell Reese and CC Malinois goes to Arizona, or Arizona bails or whatever, they do something crazy like draft Ty Simpson. I don't know. But to me, Zach, if I'm getting David Bailey and I want to mortgage some things, because if I need to go get Jordan Brooks, I feel good, right? If I need to get my nickel, whether that's Stooks in the third or whatever the case, if I'm gonna go to Tennessee and if I'm getting a top 5, Zach, I'm getting a rusher, man. I'm doing what Houston did I think they traded up for Will Anderson, but those guys just add so much. And the thing about Bailey is, and for me, what he does as an outside linebacker and like all the boxes he checks, because people talk about, oh, well, he's not great against the run. I didn't see that on tape. On tape, I saw a guy who was active enough versus the run. I mean, just go watch the Oregon. 2 games you need to go watch. Go watch Oregon, go watch Kansas, and just tell me who was the best player on the field. Not even just the D. He was better than Dante Moore. He was better than Ken Sadiq. He literally popped off the screen. And I think that if you want instant impact in the way that I know Cowboys fans want it, you probably need to go get Bailey.
And that comes from the position as well. Like, a pass rusher is just going to make more of an impact, and it's just how the league works. But I just find it interesting that Styles is the name. David Bailey, Arvell Reese, to me, that's your 2 and 3 name. I don't know if they, and now that when you were talking about that, like getting up to the Titans, like, what if Arizona wanted to bail and they don't take David Bailey, and whoever moves up to 3 isn't moving up for David Bailey. It's for somebody else. And next thing you know, he's sitting there when the Tennessee Titans are on the clock at 4. And then you start switching around all of those picks. Then it becomes really, really interesting. I don't have a ton of hope. I don't think that Bailey's going to be there at any lower than 4th overall, just because that's kind of been a consensus after Mendoza has been Reese and Bailey. But I'm with you. I would much rather, if you're going to really sell out and try to go get a true game changer, it needs to be for Bailey, or a position that can actually do that. We saw what they looked like without Micah Parsons, without a guy that could just consistently win. Sometimes the best pass defense is just being able to rush the passer, and they just couldn't do that last year. And I have hope for the defensive end room with Rashawn Gary and with Donovan Ezraku. Maybe those guys can step up. But just Dallas not doing anything at linebacker up to this point kind of makes me wonder, like, are we just like over thinking about it? Like, they need to get a linebacker so bad that they're going to have to move up 6 spots and give up some stuff to go get Sonny Styles. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, bro, it's one of those things that, like, you're going to the Sky says all the time, don't shop hungry. You go to the grocery store, you're so hungry, and it's like, man, was that good? Like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Zach, I still to this day, this is me. We're analyzing what the Cowboys would do. What I would do, I would still stay packed. You may have a better chance of having a better draft, and let's say you hang in there at 12. And let's say the Rams want to switch one spot and give you another asset, and they want to get a receiver, and then you could still get Dylan Thieneman, and then you could trade back and you can get, then you could draft at 20, you can get Keldrick Falk, and then with that other pick, you could possibly get your middle backer, or maybe you can go flip in and reverse, and then you could do, CJ Allen or whoever, Jacob Rodriguez if you want, and you could get those 2 players. So now you have 2 players who could help you. The pressure isn't as high, and then you get another draft pick to where it's like, Danny denied Dennis Sutton, somebody that we saw at the Senior Bowl that we like. Like, now you're throwing more darts at the deal, right? At the wall, and these guys can come in and they're going to affect the game in more ways than just an off-ball linebacker. Where the way that this works with an off-ball linebacker like Sonny Styles is you got to blitz him like crazy. You're going to have to. You're going to have to show the whole gamut. And is he ready for that year one? We don't know. He could be, but when you move up, he has to be.
The more I think about moving up, the scarier it gets, because this team's just not one guy away. And they're definitely not just one off-ball linebacker away. Even besides Sonny Styles, you're still not 100% sold on the guy that's playing next to him, whether that's Overshown or Shamar James. Like, the Cowboys' 3rd linebacker right now is Justin Barron, an undrafted free agent.
Scary.
From last year. Like, there's so many questions around that position. Overshown hasn't been able to stay healthy. Shamar James is 220 pounds. Like, even if you get Sonny, they're just not that one player away. And I'm kind of with you. You have a chance of having a better draft by maybe just standing pat. Although I would like to see them potentially move up, because if there is a guy there that has truly fallen, because there's a difference between, hey, let's move up to 3 or move up to 6, or hey, let's move up to 8. Because at 8, if somebody's there at 8, that means they've actually fallen. If you go up to 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever like that, you're actually going up to get a guy because you're like, he's not going to fall. If you get Bain at 8, then you're having a completely different conversation in my mind. Like, I would like for them, if someone were to fall, to move up. But, at 3 or 6, maybe that guy hasn't really fallen yet, and you're going to give up too many assets. And I wanted to go over that really quick too.
Yeah.
To end off this show, Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, Dane Brugler, and what Dallas gave up and then what they got in return. But I'm going to ask you, what other player would you give up, that for? Like, not just a Sonny Styles at 6. I need to go back and look at their actual mock drafts to see who was available in that range. But Dallas gave up 12 and 20, and they got 39 in return, drafted Sonny Styles. They gave up 12, 92, and a 2027 second-round pick. Didn't get anything, but they did get Sonny Styles. That's in Todd McShay's. And then Dane Brugler who is very good with these mock drafts, by the way. Like Dane's on top of everything, 12, 20, and 2027 fourth round pick, and they got 39 overall in return. Which of those values do you like best? And is there any other player that maybe, let's get up to 6 and I would spend that on him?
Caleb Downs,
Okay.
and I feel like Dane's his is the most realistic. Like I feel like his situation is the most realistic. Caleb Downs for me, like if you can go up and you can get Caleb, he answers questions. You still get to keep. Well, you're still in the second round, right? So now, CJ Allen, your middle backer. Is there an edge you like in the second round? But you're pairing that with, for my money, Zach, I probably still to this day, I take Caleb Downs over Sonny Styles. I just think he's a bigger impact, and they're pretty much going to be doing some of the same things as far as in the middle of the field. The only difference is Caleb is going to be covering, right? But as far as like being in the box, being that force multiplier as your nickel, because he's going to come in and play nickel. Now you can play in some of those 3 safety sets. You can blitz him. I feel much better about him blitzing than I do Sonny. I just see a more dynamic player. I do. That's not going to change. I see. So he would be the name that at 6, if the Giants go Sonny, you do the deal with Cleveland and you give up that 4th, because Cleveland, I feel like, wants to build. They don't want to take a safety over. They can't, Zach. They can't take a safety over a tackle. They need Fano. They need CC Malinois. But it also is sounding like the late buzz for Caleb is real. So do you need to get in front of the Commanders? Do you need to get in front of the Saints? Do you need to get in front of the Chiefs? Probably so. So in that, and the question also, it lends itself, how much better is Caleb than Dylan Thieneman? I think that Caleb is better than Dylan Thieneman, but it ain't by much, especially with what you want to be asking these guys to do. So this is all the scenarios that's just going to make this thing so fun.
That was actually, it made me think of something when you were talking, playing a little game of, would you rather give up what they gave up and get what they got in return, and get Sonny Styles, that's the pick? Or would you rather be able to keep all of those things, be able to keep your 2027 second round pick and be able to keep 92 and any of those picks? Or would you rather have Dylan Thieneman at 12? Because let's say that those 6 are going to be wiped off the board, right? They don't have a chance. They're not moving up. They're not doing anything like that. I genuinely don't believe they're going to have a guy that we all love at 12. Dylan Thieneman seems like the next best answer, like for a guy that's like high floor, super athletic. Like, would you rather be able to take Thieneman at 12 and be able to keep your 2027 fourth round pick, and Todd McShay's a 2027 second round pick? Like, Dylan Thieneman is a good player.
Great player.
It's like you kind of have to play that game of, what do you want?
Yes. I think I would. This is tough, Zach. This is really tough. I think I would go get Caleb. And I love Dylan Thieneman, but I think I would go get Caleb, especially if I can get that second back from Cleveland. I wouldn't go to the Titans. The Titans is rich for me, Zach, if you're asking me. But I think I would go get Caleb just because of how smart he is and what he's going to do for my defense day one. I think he's going to have a bigger impact than Sonny Styles day one.
Yeah.
I truthfully believe that. I think this is Antoine Winfield who can cover. Antoine Winfield Jr., who's more explosive, more twitchy. He didn't do anything when it comes to the 40, but I really don't care. I love this guy. And he's going to come in, and he's done it at every level. There's no questions with him. So
it's funny. I was looking at this, preparing for the show, and the more I look at it, the more confused I get, because I don't know what I want them to do, and I don't know how this draft is gonna go. Like, which way? Yeah. I mean, how many? I saw a post. I think it was from Ari Merov on Twitter, but he was talking about how offensive tackle, it always gets bumped up, and it seems like as of right now that there's some chatter about teams inside of the top 10 potentially wanting an offensive tackle. We're obviously talking defenders. Me and you, like, have we talked about, I don't think we've talked about a single receiver yet on
No.
any of these shows, any of our own shows. Like, we haven't talked about receivers. We really hadn't talked about tackles, tight ends, none of that. We just feel like everybody wants a defender because the Cowboys want a defender, but we really don't know what's going to happen with the wide receivers and the tackles and all of that. So that's going to do it for today's show. Foots, you have any closing thoughts on as we get closer to the draft?
No, just, hey guys, we'll be together for the draft show in person. We're gonna have a dope setup for you guys. We're gonna be doing some fun things. Make sure you guys head over to our personal channels, because that's where we'll be live streaming from, and we're gonna go the distance. So we love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys for supporting us here, supporting us on our main channels and all of that. The draft show is going to be a ton of fun live in person. We're going to try to be live for the entire first round. The Cowboys having 2 first-round picks. We're going to have to make the most of it. But thank you guys for checking us out here at the Landry Hat. And we'll see you all next time. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel. Audio, give us 5 stars. We really, really appreciate it. And we love you all, and we'll see you next time.